Chapter 6. From Sarah's perspective. Ghosts from the Steps. We gathered in a side room prepared for us after the event. There aren't many of us. Judith and I, Fraser and Beaumont. A beautiful dark-haired woman named Lady Grace Mortimer joins us. A man in uniform sits at the end of the table. He is introduced as Sir Reginald Wolfsbane. He apologizes several times for his repeated tardiness. Duncan Marlowe forgives him. Food is served. Honestly, I am not hungry at all. Only Judith and a young couple, whom Marlowe refers to as adepts, take anything from the platter. I decline when Judith tries to place something on my plate. The others don't eat either, preferring to pour themselves sherry and port. Marlowe suddenly appears beside me, his hand resting gently on my shoulder. A pleasant warmth spreads through me. His touch and smile give me a sense of security. I want to trust him, but something feels off. I get goosebumps despite the warmth. That's when I remember Judith's lecture about the subconscious. Something within me understands something I can't quite grasp or put into words. Sir Marlowe's charming smile opens every door for flattering conversation. How do you find it, Sarah? I hope my performance didn't shock you too much. You don't look like you're enjoying it, he says, smiling. But he isn't mocking me. I can feel that. I run a hand through my hair. For a second, I catch him glancing at my bare neck. Smirking, he meets my gaze. It's all new to me. I've never been to an event like this with so many people, I reply. Marlowe nods, thoughtfully sucking on his lip. That's true, but it's not the real reason you feel uncomfortable, he says, as though his hand were a lie detector. He removes it from my shoulder to pour me a glass of wine. Speaking with a note of concern in his voice, he continues. I understand how it feels. Many think we're quacks or some sort of occult sect. That rumor even circulates among the public. But rumors can be deadly. Yes, Judith sighs. I look at her. She has something she wants to say. Members of our society are attacked and followed to their homes, says the adept, whose name I don't know. Really? I ask, astonished. The wildest rumors are spread about us, that we're cold-hearted profiteers exploiting the needy, grunts Lachlan Fraser, stroking his stubbly chin. Lady Beaumont and Mortimer admonish him with a glance. For a moment, it seems as though their eyes glow. It is probably just the reflection of the candles. And you want to give this miracle vaccine to the whole world for free, just like that? I ask the group. Indeed, Marlowe replies, handing me the glass. A tingling sensation sweeps over my skin as our fingers brush. He toasts me, and we drink the sherry. The others join in. But only if they join your society, I add. Doesn't that still make it somewhat coercive? It's not really free then. Marlowe laughs. Oh, but it is. Everyone can choose freely to join us. We don't force anyone. Somehow, I don't dare say anything further. He counters everything skillfully, smiling like a confident entrepreneur. He knows how to talk to people, how to win them over or put them in their place. Judith nearly chokes. I had to work really hard to convince dear Sarah to come along. She genuinely thought we were some kind of doomsday cult. She giggles, covering her mouth with her hand. I just sit there, turning red. It is embarrassing, and I wish she'd stop. Lachlan Fraser frowns. That's exactly what we are. We need to become beings of energy. Ooh, the gruff Scot grumbles. He isn't good at making jokes. She probably thought we were some secretive Freemason cult or the Illuminati, laughs Lady Grace Mortimer, her lips to her glass. Sir Marlowe sounds almost offended. Freemasons and Illuminati? Please. Why compare us to amateurs? The real power is seated here. We are something far older and infinitely more dangerous, growls Lachlan. Lachlan, I must insist. Behave yourself in front of our guests, Marlowe reprimands him. His stern expression melts back into a hospitable smile. People say all sorts of things. There's even talk that we're vampires, Lachlan says with a bored yawn. Judith and the others chuckle, rolling their eyes. In recent years, much has happened with vampires. Countless films and new series are produced. Every few years, there is a boom in the book market. When I lived in the States, I came across a lot on social media. There are actually people who believe in a global vampire conspiracy. Their hatred and delusions drive them to such extremes that they commit attacks on celebrities and innocent civilians. Because of them, many vampire films are pulled from cinemas. I remember. Are there still people who believe vampires are real? I ask, chuckling myself. What freaks. It's statistically proven that people who believe in these vampire conspiracies come from households with lower levels of education, Reginald Wolfsbane comments casually. Duncan crosses his arms behind his back and laughs. Conspiracy theorists always claim they believe in nothing and question everything, but then they take everything they read in their bizarre groups at face value. Have you heard the latest theory? Apparently, the Irish are descended from black people because we English brought so many slaves there. Oh, and dinosaurs never existed, by the way. The entire table laughs. I don't know what to say. Are there really people who believe that? The young man at the table nearly chokes on his chicken, cackling. Of course, he says mockingly. Ireland was uninhabited. Only when we Brits sailed slaves over from Africa did people live there. Who doesn't know the typical Irishman? Not pale-skinned and red-haired, but descended from Africa. St. Patrick and Viking settlements like Dublin didn't exist. The Celts never existed. All made up. We must rewrite the history books, huh? Lachlan rubs his face and growls into his palm. Irish people descend from black African slaves? That's the dumbest theory I've ever heard. He grunts, utterly distraught. Lady Beaumont places a hand on Lachlan's arm. There are people who believe that. There are also people who believe that the Northern Lights don't exist. Or that humans came from Hyperborea at the North Pole, she says. Duncan Marlowe places his hands on Lachlan and Lady Seraphina Beaumont's shoulders and laughs. Ladies and gentlemen, can we agree not to give these odd people any vaccines? I'd prefer to only associate with sensible beings, thank you. I smile along with them, out of social pressure. I don't really want to discuss conspiracy theories, though. I want to know more about this organization, and most of all, I want to get to know Sir Duncan Marlowe better. That's even crazier than the theory that the rich drink children's blood to stay immortal, Judith says. Marlowe's face turns serious, as though Judith's words have annoyed him or brought up a sensitive topic. They don't drink it, they inject it. And that's not a conspiracy theory. It's scientifically proven that injecting children's blood slows the aging process. But of course, it's unethical. It works, but that doesn't mean the government and celebrities are part of an occult sect. We know the scientific facts, but we distance ourselves from such things. Our organization works to stop these lunatics by any legal means. So, there are people who are willing to get children's blood? I ask. Of course. There are crazies everywhere. There are still human traffickers and nasty tricks by drug cartels. There are people who will walk over dead bodies, even children's. And of course, there are black sheep in politics and among the rich and famous. But most are decent people. Such extreme cases are rare. There are much more morally acceptable ways to stay young and fresh. A good hobby, for example. Marlowe touches his cheek. Or a tincture of rosewater and grapeseed extract. Antioxidants are the magic words. And stay away from rapeseed oil. Not just for the ladies. The group smiles. Judith digs into her meal. A salad with chicken breast. I still don't feel like eating. That's why we all still look so enchanting, gentlemen, Reginald Wolfsbane growls, in true wolfish fashion. He raises his glass of sherry, and the whole table clinks glasses. I'm still curious about which organization he belongs to. His uniform looks military, but I don't see any insignia of the British Army. A rose pin adorns his shoulder epaulets. We finish eating, and the group disperses. The adepts leave the hall. Outside, I hear the last cars driving off, and the other members head home. Judith says goodbye to me. Sir Marlowe wants to talk to me. He even promises to drive me home later. Either I'm crazy or naive, maybe both. Why do I trust this stranger so much? It feels like we've known each other much longer. Now, I'm alone with Marlowe. We've been walking through the building for half an hour. He wants to show me everything. Sir Marlowe offers me his arm, and I hook mine into it, holding a glass of champagne in my free hand. It tastes delicious, and I let the sparkling pleasure kiss my lips. I trust him blindly, and that scares me. I'm afraid because I'm not afraid, because I feel unconditionally accepted. No man in the world has ever made me feel like this the way he does. Even the memories with John are fading beneath the warmth of Marlowe's smile. What's happening to me? I feel like he's drugged me, and he could do anything he imagines with me, but our touches are gentle and cautious. His words curl enticingly around my ear. I sense no ill intentions. He's not dangerous. We stop in front of one of the gruesome paintings. The lights in the hall are off. Through the glass wall, the glow of the lanterns falls on the grotesque mural with the death angels. I'm scared of this painting. Who painted it? I whisper reverently. Or maybe it's just fear. Several artists worked on this painting. One drew the landscape, the other the angels. Each being looks different. That's because each artist brought their own style to it. He's right. I notice the distinct styles of each figure. It doesn't ruin the painting, though. It gives it a unique presence. What does it depict? I ask, pointing to the angel with the bloodied mouth, rising over the graves to bring the dead back to life. I notice more and more details. At first, the forest path looks like a road, but then the cobblestones become a path of bones, over which the blood-red moon rises in the fog. It's the Last Judgment, dear Sarah. Not the Christian one, but another. It's the liberation of the world and the rebirth of the ancient spirits. What kind of ancient spirits? I ask. Marlowe nods toward the other direction and asks me to walk with him. He wants to show me something. We head deep into the basement of the building. The colder it gets, the tighter and warmer his grip on my hand becomes. Marlowe smiles at me, and everything inside me pulses. I hear my heartbeat. It's suddenly so bitterly cold down here. He opens a walk-in vault with a fingerprint scan. Red light illuminates above our heads. Duncan Marlowe, bathed in the bloody glow, looks like one of those ancient spirits. Behind a display case lie archaeological finds. Tips of arrows and spears, broken swords, and horse tack. Next to them are replicas. My breath almost catches in my throat as I see the remains of human bones. How old is all of this? 3,000 years. Some of the finds date from after Christ. Do you want to know which ancient spirits I mean? Here they are. He talks about spirits rising from the dead while I stand in front of 3,000-year-old corpses and their gear. It scares me. I want to get out of here. What kind of exhibit is this? No, You don't hide an exhibit like this in the basement in a vault. What's here is not meant for everyone. Why has he brought me here? Duncan steps out of the shadows, balancing a sword on his palms. This is a replica of an ancient sword that they used in battle. During the conquest of Europe, it evolved into the precursor of the Roman gladius and the Germanic battle knife, the sax. I take the sword. It's a replica made of plastic, but for a moment I thought it was real metal. I hand it back to Duncan. He presents more of the excavated objects. Some are free and not behind glass. Ever heard of the fate of the lost Roman legion? No. There were several Roman expeditions deep into the east, all the way into the heart of Iran, but none of those expeditions ever returned. What happened to them? I ask. A dark smile spreads across Duncan's face, lit by the red glow, as if he's been waiting all evening to bring up this topic. In the heart of the Iranian highlands, the powerful Parthian Empire was born. It was always in bloody conflict with the Roman Empire. I wasn't very attentive in history class, but I let Marlowe talk. The archaeological finds hold me captive. The Parthians were one of the reasons why Rome and China never had diplomatic relations. Both great empires knew of each other through trade routes, but direct exchanges were difficult. However, the Parthians weren't the only thing that stopped the small Roman expeditions into the Iranian highlands, Duncan continues. He puts the words on his tongue as if they are the exciting part of a ghost story, rather than some dry material from a history book. What stopped the Romans? I ask. In Iran and the southern Russian steppes, the Romans encountered scattered groups of a tribe far older than any peoples they knew, a branch of the Scythians. It was the Indo-European Saigrani people. Saigrani? I've never heard of this tribe. Marlowe lets me touch the archaeological finds. A sharp jolt goes through me as my finger brushes against a golden mask. I don't believe in curses, but the ghost stories my relatives used to tell me as a child still haunt me. I still believe there is more between heaven and earth than we realize. But I don't believe these museum pieces are cursed. Curses are nonsense. Even so, I'm afraid to touch them. The longer I gaze at the unearthed remains, the harder it gets to breathe. I feel pressure on my chest. Duncan goes on. They were nomadic horse riders from the steppe. You won't find anything about them in the history books. The Romans and Greeks destroyed all records. What was left was wiped out by the church. But the Saigrani were real. We found these remains in a tomb chamber in Georgia. The Saigrani were there. On the wall hangs a collage of images from the expedition. It's from 2030. All members of the archaeological team fell victim to an unknown pathogen. They developed fevers and a hatred of the sun. What really killed the researchers on the Georgia expedition? I ask him. He places his hand on my back. The government was against digging in the mountains from the start. The locals believed evil spirits lived there. Even Russian grave robbers armed themselves and roamed the area. Marlowe taps on a blackboard that turns out to be a tablet. He shows me videos recorded with a helmet camera. These are the team's recordings. It was a British researcher who discovered the Tavkveri Kurgan. That's what they called the tomb in the mountain. But what killed her? I ask again. Not much can be seen in the video recordings. They were attacked by something. Others were infected. They awoke something that had been locked in the mountain for centuries. It's a price you pay when you disturb the peace of the dead. He needs to stop. I'm feeling uneasy the whole time. I cross my arms over myself and walk a little toward the exit. Duncan, I'm scared. This isn't funny. People died down there in the mountain, and no one knows exactly why. And here are the remains of that culture. Maybe there's some old pathogen still attached to these skeletons, and we've just gotten infected. They died in the name of science. However, their sacrifice was a gift. Because the vaccine I've developed is based on the ancient pathogens we secured from the tomb chamber. This can't be true. That means I can barely speak from excitement. The thing that killed those people down there is in this vaccine? And you're selling it to people as a cure? From every poison, an antidote can be made, Sarah, Duncan assures me. He places both hands on my shoulders. I avoid his gaze. He places his thumb under my chin. Let go of me. I want to go back upstairs. I'm scared of this place. And now I'm also scared of Duncan. We've studied the old pathogen from the tomb chamber and prepared it in medical solutions. It won't kill you. It's not lethal. Sarah, please look at me. There's nothing to fear. You have my word. He takes my hands. His eyes look at me with concern. Suddenly the fear seems to vanish. Still, I want to go back upstairs. It's late. I was supposed to be home by now. Archaeology is not just my personal passion. It's the key to the advancement of medicine. The pathogen found in the ancient Segrani tomb chamber in Georgia will free humanity from all problems. I've already tested the vaccine on myself. It works, he says. But how is this pathogen supposed to cure all diseases? You talk about your vaccine as if it can fight death itself. He smiles. Well thought out, but not entirely off the mark, Sarah. He lets go of my hands and runs his fingers through the fine dust particles hanging in the air. The Segrani, according to legend, drank the blood of their dead and enemies, gaining divine power. They even spoke of angelic beings before Christianity, and the angels brought humanity the gift of blood. Some scientists believe the Segrani unlocked the secret to eternal life, but it's buried deep in the forgotten burial mounds of Europe and Asia. My heart skips a beat when I see someone standing in the corner. "Oh my God!" I shout. It's just a mannequin, but it terrifies me. It's a life-sized figure in ancient attire. The warrior holds a crescent-shaped sword and a bronze chainmail. Over it, he wears a silk robe. Long blonde hair flows over his shoulders. A grim expression is hidden beneath a golden mask and an elongated helmet. Did he scare you? Marlowe laughs and pats the warrior's arm. This is a Segrani warrior from the 2nd millennium BC. They were very advanced for their time. Their thirst for blood was legendary. They navigated by the stars and winds. But this people, they're hopefully completely extinct now, right? Marlowe grins like a shark in the red light. The Segrani are not extinct. They became us. Every European people carries a piece of their genetics. In you, in me, in an Icelander or a Spaniard. We all have their genes inside us. I take a second look at the figure. It looks like someone combined a Viking with an Oriental warrior or Greek. Judith always knew more about this than I did. History was never my thing. He looks more like a Germanic person to me, or a Viking with that long blonde hair. Duncan chuckles. Vikings were also Germanics, Sarah. And yes, you're right. The Segrani were Germanics, Indo-Germanics, or Indo-Europeans. But you said Iran. The Germanic people come from there and then migrated to Europe. Some headed for India, continuing their conquests there. Ever heard of the Vedas? Ayurveda and all that? Veda means knowledge. You can still recognize it in Norwegian as vita, to know. In German, the T turned into an S, wissen. Just a little fun fact. Maybe that's just a coincidence? No. It's scientifically proven. You can read it anywhere. I studied languages. The Segrani conquered rivers and mountains, but they felt most at home in the saddle. I hum thoughtfully. I thought blonde hair came from the north. There are various theories, but the latest scientific findings from our researchers have proven it. Blonde hair originally came from the Iranian steppes. People think it comes from Scandinavia, because that's where most blondes live. But Scandinavians aren't the original blondes. They're just what's left. In other parts of Europe, darker hair types took over through intermixing. He looks at me and touches my hair. He runs it between his fingers, as if it were precious strands of gold. I let the touch wash over me and enjoy it. Sir Duncan Marlowe fascinates me. No matter what this man knows and can do, I want to absorb it all. Why did our paths cross? Was it meant to be? Suddenly, I stopped thinking about John and my old life. You're lucky, Sarah. A trace of Saigrani beauty runs through you. Saigrani beauty. Should I take that as a compliment, considering these people were a blood-drinking, warlike tribe? But hair color is just decoration. Inside each of us flows the old Saigrani blood. Even if you have black hair like me. We're all descendants of the ancient steppe people, Duncan Marlowe says, turning away from me. He takes a deep breath as he admires the archaeological finds. I have to turn away from the objects. The golden helmet mask silently tells a story of blood and darkness. My thoughts race wildly. It's as if I'm dreaming, but still awake. I hear the sound of hooves, the whinny of wild horses, shouts in a language from ancient times. Glowing eyes make their way through the night, forever searching for blood. Duncan takes my hand, and I wake up, sweating, from my daydream. Let's go upstairs. I'll drive you home, Sarah, Marlowe says. The night at my parents' house is lonely. I'm alone and resolved to respond to Judith tomorrow. She asked me how I felt about the meeting, but it's all too much for me right now. Sir Duncan Marlowe overwhelmed me in that basement with his historical knowledge. It was fascinating, but it's left me on edge, and I've been struggling to find the right words ever since. I keep losing my train of thought, as though someone has entered my mind and is deciding what can stay and what can go. The night is filled with nightmares. I constantly feel like I hear breathing in the room and notice movement. I know I'm alone, but I feel paranoid. I keep my phone ready in case I need to call the police if someone's here. Duncan's lecture was full of ghost stories. I've had enough of blood-drinking angels supposedly revealing secrets to ancient Germans from the steppes. I dream of them. When I close and open my eyes, I could swear I see the cursed statue of the Saigrani warrior from the basement in front of my bed, or that the golden mask is floating outside my window. Blood pulses from the holes for the mouth and nose, even though no one stands behind it to bleed. I lower the blinds because I'm scared of being watched. I'm terrified of closing my eyes. A glance at the clock shows me that I fall asleep for an hour at a time, only to wake up again. Every dream feels like an entire day. The Saigrani didn't die out. They became us. I hear Duncan's voice in my head over and over. I see people in my dreams. The shadows of horses are coming toward me. The steppe riders are returning from battle. Their skin hangs from their bones, along with the flesh, torn from sword strikes. They dismount their horses and drag themselves with their last strength toward the water. No, it's not water. It's red. They jump into a screaming lake of blood, from which they rise again as angels. Their eyes burn like fire. Their wounds have vanished. The horses that brought them to the healing blood lake are now their food. They pull them into the red flood and drown them in it, while sinking their teeth into the throats of the poor animals. I have to wake up. Wake up, Sarah. Wake up.